Hi guys, it's Shamsa and welcome back to another video. Now the recipe that I'm going to share with you all today is a Christmas special. It's my roasted leg of lamb, which is slow cooked for 5.5 hours. Now you're going to love this recipe, so let me run through what you need and then we'll start cooking. So the ingredients you're going to need is a whole leg of lamb here, which weighs approximately 2.5 kgs, and we've had the skin removed, and we've also had our butcher do an incision here, so it'll just help us pop that into the roasting tray easily. And we need the following spices. We've got 2 teaspoons of coriander seeds and cumin seeds. I've got 2 tablespoons of salt. I've got 1.5 teaspoons of cloves and black peppercorns. I've got 4 black cardamom pods here. I've got 2 thumb-sized pieces of fresh ginger, which I've peeled and cut into chunks. I've got 5 green chilies, which I've sliced up. Now this is optional, you don't have to add this if you don't want to, but it does give the marinade a really nice kick. I've also got some pre-made marinade, which I bought from the shop. Now I use the tandoori spice marinade from Patak's, and I've got 1 teaspoon of that, which is a heaped teaspoon. I've also got 1.5 bulbs of garlic, which I've peeled. I've got 6 tablespoons of yogurt. I've got 10 tablespoons of oil. You also need a hand blender. You need foil and cling film, and you also need a sharp knife. So let's start cooking. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to transfer all of our dry and wet ingredients into our hand blender, and we're just going to blitz it and make a really nice smooth marinade. So in with the garlic cloves, the ginger, the chili, our pre-made tandoori masala, our black cardamom pods, black peppercorns, cloves, salt, cumin seeds, coriander seeds, yogurt, and our oil. And just blend that all up really nicely until you have a smooth marinade. And that is done. And all of that is really nicely blended. And that's how it looks. So it's like a thick yogurty marinade. And I'm just going to try a little bit of this. That's slightly over salty, but you obviously need it because it's a marinade and it's going to penetrate into that meat. It's garlicky. It's clovey, it's got that hit from the chilies, it's perfect. Now, I'm just going to set this aside and now we are going to prepare the meat. So to prepare the meat, what we need to do is we need to grab our knife, and be very careful when you do this, guys. Make sure your leg of lamb is in something that is non-breakable, and just grab it and just end up pushing the knife straight into the meat. Just like that, and just poke it all over. And what this process is going to do, it's going to create incisions in the meat, and then when we actually come to marinate it, it's going to penetrate into that meat and give it lots and lots of flavour and not just sit on top. So lots of little incisions in there, which will help that marinade to go right into that meat. Okay, so now that we've done that, we are going to take our marinade and we are just going to cover the entire lamb with this gorgeous marinade. And I'm going to use roughly half of the marinade and reserve the other half for later, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that. So just pop it on like that. I think that's about right. And I'm going to use my hands and I'm going to get straight in, and I'm going to massage that really nicely into those little incisions that we made, the little pockets, and just really work that in. And then flip it over and just, we're going to do the same thing with the knife there as well. And now that that's marinated really nicely, I'm just going to wash my hands and I'll show you how to wrap this up ready for the fridge to leave for the next 24 hours. Okay, so to put the leg into the fridge, what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 pieces, big pieces of foil, which we've cut out. And what we're going to do is we're going to place one piece into a tray just like that. That's not needed, but we're just going to use that sort of like as a base to work with, and then pop the other one just on top, overlapping it slightly, and then just push down so you can see your tray underneath. It just helps to when we actually come to positioning the leg of lamb into that. And then we're going to take our marinated leg of lamb there and just take any marinade off with your hands like that, and just pop that straight on top. Make sure that's really nicely covered. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take this and we're just going to wrap it over and make sure it's sealed really nicely. And do that. Then we're just going to get another piece of foil and just pop that straight over as well. And just flip it over like that. So that's really nicely wrapped up now. And then just use cling film and just seal that all over nice and tight. Now once you've done that, that is ready for the fridge, and pop that into the fridge and leave that to sit there, preferably for 24 hours, if not 48 hours. And we will cook it the next day, and I'll show you how that's looking once it's done. So the marinade that we reserved whilst we were marinating the lamb, I've just popped that into a little container, and I'm just going to pop it into my fridge, and I'll show you what we're going to do with this tomorrow. Hey guys, welcome back, and it's the next day now. Now I've taken my leg of lamb out of the fridge. It's had 24 hours of marination, and I've let it rest for 3 hours before we're actually going to start cooking this. Now it's essential that we allow a decent amount of resting time for it, because we want it to cook through evenly. 1 hour is minimum, 3 to 4 hours is perfect, and mine's had 3 hours obviously. So what I've done is I've just taken off the cling film that I had it wrapped up in. That was just to prevent any marinade or juices falling into my fridge. And I've put it into a roasting tray, and we're going to leave it just as it is, covered in the foil that we did yesterday. And now I'm going to put it into my oven, into the middle shelf. I've preheated my oven to 165 degrees Celsius. It's a fan assisted oven. And we're going to put it in for 5 hours of cooking. This is a slow cooked leg of lamb. So 5 hours. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a timer on for 2.5 hours. And I'll check it in 2.5 hours to see how it's looking. I'm also going to be basting the leg of lamb, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. So ready for the oven now. In that goes, and I'll see you back in 2.5 hours time. Right guys, that's the 2.5 hour timer. So I'm now going to take out the tray out of the oven. Okay, just make sure you close your oven when you've got the tray out. And what we're going to do is we're going to gently and carefully just remove the top layer of the foil off. Just take that off and put that to the side. And now we want to get into this, into the next layer of foil. So this one should be a lot easier. But we're not taking it off, we're just peeling it back a little so we can have a look at the lamb. Oh gosh, if you could smell this. Just look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And I'm just gonna get my knife and I'm just gonna poke it to see whether it's cooked or not. And it's super soft, and yes, it is cooked, but we want it to be sort of like really soft and melt in your mouth. So even though that is cooked, it still requires another 2.5 hours in the oven, and that smells absolutely divine. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a spoon and just carefully just move that out of the way, and we're just going to baste it by putting all the juices that the leg of lamb's released whilst cooking straight over like that. And that'll just help it sort of like absorb more flavour, and it'll cook really nicely. And we're going to do this at least twice before we finish it off. So just make sure you get that everywhere. You don't need to turn it over because obviously it's sitting in the water, the juice, and that'll just sort of like baste itself. It's just the top bits that we're trying to baste and get all that juiciness back in there again. Right, so once we've done that, just close it back up again, however it was, like that. And make sure it's really nice and tight. And it doesn't matter if all the juices have leaked out or anything, you'll be fine. That happens. And that now goes back into the oven. You don't need to put another layer of foil on top of that. That will just cook as it is. So back into the oven again. Put your timer on for 2.5 hours again. And I'll show you how that looks once it's done. Right guys, the leg of lamb has got half an hour to go of its 5-hour cooking time, and we're going to do a final baste before we actually reach the 5-hour cooking, and then obviously finish the leg of lamb off. So I'm just going to take it out now. And just remove that gently. Just grab my spoon again. Oops. So I've basted it now for 2 times. All right, that is just cooked to perfection. It's just literally, I can see the bone sort of like moving away from the meat, and it smells amazing. Oh, there we are. And now again, just cover it again and make sure it's just nice and tight, and then back in for the last half an hour of cooking this, and I'm going to show you what to do next. Okay guys, the lamb has now been cooking away in the oven for 5 hours, and it's time to take it out. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off the foil just like that, so the lamb is exposed. And I've got a jug here, and I'm going to take off all of that lovely juices that we've got, that's the legs released, and I'm just going to pop them into this jug of mine, whatever's left. So with that to the side, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the leftover marinade from yesterday, and we're just going to pop a layer of that just over the top and make sure we've got an even layer all over. And that's just going to give it extra flavour, because we're going to pop it back into the oven again without the foil on this time, and we're just going to allow it to sort of like cook on a high heat. Just make sure you've just coated that really nicely. There we are, and you can just get rid of that marinade now. We don't need that anymore. So back into the oven, and we're going to turn up our temperature now to 200 degrees Celsius. Let me just do that. And I'm going to pop this in for 20 minutes. Okay guys, the lamb's now had the 20 minutes of cooking, which is the final cook, and I'm about to take it out and I'm going to show you how it looks. Just look at that beauty, cooked to perfection. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the juices that we reserved for the gravy, and I'm just going to just pour them over like that and just give it one final little baste. And that just looks absolutely divine. Just turn it around so you guys can see. How beautiful does that look? And I'm going to just cover this with some foil and allow that to rest for half an hour before I serve that up. Just like that. Right guys, I've plated up my roasted leg of lamb here. So my platter is looking wonderful and it's rather heavy. I'm just going to pop that down. Ooh. I have been waiting all day to try this. It's taken 5.5 hours to cook, slow cook, beautifully tender lamb there. And I can't wait any longer. So I am going to try this right away. So let me just dig in and get a really nice piece of that. Oh, it's super, super, super tender. Just breaks apart. So here goes. Wow. So much flavour coming through from that marinade. It's beautiful. Oh my God. That is absolutely gorgeous. Honest to God, guys, I'm going to try some more. I'm actually going to try the masala on top, the marinade that we added. So just take a piece from the top. Wow. That masala, that marinade, has got hints of garlic, black cloves, black peppercorns, black cardamom pods. That spice is all Christmassy, and it honestly does make you feel like as if you're sat there at the Christmas table. Now, guys, when you serve this up, make sure you shred the meat and you mix everything together, because you don't want to have just the top of the meat just without the marinade mixed into the meat. So make sure you shred it and then mix it all together, because that marinade can be slightly salty, which the reason why we leave it slightly over salted is because once you get around to mixing everything together, it's going to even it and balance it out. If you've liked what you've seen today and you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done already, and hit that bell button to never ever miss a video. I'm going to be back again with another one very soon. Till then, take care and happy Christmas.